Hello, good morning. Welcome back. So, last class we started with the inheritance chapter. We did the different forms of inheritance and then we wrote the general syntax of it. What are the advantages, disadvantages, and then we also did visibility modes, which are very important. The different visibility modes are private, public, and protected. And what happens if I derive a class in private or public or protected mode, and the default is the private visibility mode. Today's class will start with single inheritance. So, what do I mean by single inheritance? This is the simplest form of inheritance which involves only two classes. One is the base class and one is the derived class. That is, if a class is derived from a single base class, you have one base class and one derived class. That type of inheritance is called single inheritance. So, the general syntax is you have a base class which is nothing but a pre-existing or already present class. So, it is also called as superclass and or the parent class. Then I have the derived class over here. So, class, derived class, class is the keyword, derived class is any derived class name, colon, this is nothing but the visibility mode which can be private, public or protected. Visibility mode and then the base class name. So, this is nothing but the subclass or the child class. So, this is single inheritance where you have one parent class or the base class and one derived class. It involves only two classes and then this is the simplest form of inheritance. That is one base and one derived. We'll write a program now using that so that we'll understand the concept better. Write a program to read the following information from the keyboard. Means these are the things which are the input to the program with the base class. So, you have a base class called date. Date is the name of the base class which consists members, data members, day, month and year. So, it has three data members, day, month and year, and date is the base class. Then you need to derive a class time, that is time is derived from date. So, time is the derived class or the subclass or the child class and it has data members, seconds, minutes and hours. So, day, month and year are the data members of base class date and seconds, minutes and hours are the data members of the derived class time. And then you need to use appropriate functions to take in this data and to display the output in this format only. When they specify the format, you have to make sure that it is displayed in that format only, that is date and time colon, it has to be in one line and in the bottom line you need to print the date in DDMMYY format only with an hyphen and seconds, minutes and hours separated by a colon. So, this is the format to print the date and time. Please make a note of the program statement and we'll start writing the program here. Now, we'll start with the program. So, how do I start it? With hash include statements, hash include iostream dot h, hash include conio dot h, and then I have class. Class is a keyword, and then I have class date. After that, in private section, I have 3 data members as specified. What are those? Day, month and year. So let me say int dd mm yy. These are the 3 variables I have in the private. These are the data members. Then I will have in the public appropriate member functions this specified. So let me say void input date and void display date, and I will close my. So this is my date class, which is the base class. What is this? The class. So I can say base class and then data members, then these two are member functions. Please make a note of this. That is input date, display date and dd mm are the data members and date is the base class. Then I need to write the code for each, right? How do I write that? So let me start with the input function. What is the return type? Void name of the class to which it belongs to, date, scope resolution operator, name of the function input date, and open and close brackets, cout input date, what is that? Day, month and year. Okay. Cin dd mm yy. So input day, month and year would be printed on the screen for the user, and I am taking in cin dd mm and yy. Okay. After that, what do I do? I would say void, then I have the name of the class to it belongs to is date. So what is the function I am writing here? I am writing the display date function. So return type of display date is void date is the name of the class to which it belongs to, scope resolution operator and display date is the name of the function. So what do I do there? Cout, and what was the format they wanted? They wanted in dd/mm/yy format. So I can say dd/mm/yy format. Got it? So I'm closing my display date function here. You can have a look. So input date is the function, return type of the function is void, name of the class to which it belongs to is date, scope resolution operator, input date, cout, input day, month and year, and then I am taking it here. After that I need to display that. So void date, void is the return type of the function display date. After that, name of the class to which it belongs to is date, scope resolution operator, display date is the name of the function cout dd/mm/yy. So I have written my base class. Now let me write the derived class. So we are completed with the base class. Let me write the derived class. Now what was the derived class? The name of the derived class was time. So it was class. How do I write it? First it has to be class, then the derived class name, colon, visibility mode. Let me make it as public, so nothing would be changed. Whatever we inherit will be in the same place as in the base class. So class time public date base class name. So class derived class name is time, colon, visibility mode is public, and the base class name is date. In this class I would write private section, it is seconds, int, seconds, minute and hour. So SMH, I will name it as SMH, and then public void input time and void display time. So I have, this is the derived class, this is the derived class, this is the base class, these are the data members, and these are the member functions. So this is my derived class. Int SMH are the data members of the derived class, which is in the private section. How many data members will my derived class have? It will have only 3, because even though I derive it from date, the data members of date were private, so they do not get inherited. And then public, I have 2 member functions of the time class, that is input time and display time, and I also have extra 2 member functions in time which is inherited from date, that is input date and display date. So totally using the object of time I can access 4 member functions, 2 of time class and 2 which inherits from the date, but data members are only 3 because private data will not get inherited. Fine, please make a note of this, then we will write the code for these two, void input time and void display time. So we'll start with input time. How do I write it? Return type of the function void, the name of the class to which it belongs to time, scope resolution operator, name of the function. So cout, enter, seconds, minutes and hours. Scene SMH. Okay, this is my input time. Then void time, scope resolution operator, display time. What was the format? The format was cout, then I had an hyphen. So let me write the hyphen. After that I have seconds, then I have a colon, then I have minutes, and then I have a colon, then I have seconds, hours. So this is my output function. So in time I have two data member functions of time, that is input time and display time. In input time I am taking in seconds, minutes and hours, and I am storing it in variable s, m and h. In display time, as specified, there should be a hyphen between the date and time. In date I have not put the hyphen, so I will be writing it here, and then I have the s, m and h with the colon the way it is specified. So I completed my time class also. I finished my date class. I derived a class time from date, and then I wrote the code for that also. Now we have to write the main. So void main. Then clear screen. Now tell me, which class should I create an object? The thing is, I need to create an object only for the time class, because time will have its own member function. Along with that, it inherits the date member functions also, because they were written in the public. So with the object of time, I can access both date member functions as well as the time member functions. So by creating only the object of the derived class, I can access both the base class member functions as well as the derived class member functions. So I will say time TOBJ. Now first let me call the date class function TOBJ dot input date. Then TOBJ dot input time. So I have taken in the input. Now cout date and time. Endel. So this would be printed, and then let me call the two other member functions, that is TOBJ dot display date, TOBJ dot display time. Get ch. So this completes my program. See here, I created an object only for the time class, that is the derived class. I am not creating object for the date class. Why? Because the time class, when I derive it from date, it inherits the public member functions, right? It had only private and public. It did not have anything protected over there. So private data is not accessible, but public functions automatically get inherited to time. So time also, with the help of the time object, I can also access the date member function. So I am calling the function input date, which is the base class member function, using the derived class object. Then I am calling the input time, which is the derived class member function. So here and here I have taken in the date and time, and then as specified in the output, I am writing cout date and time colon endl. So this will be printed, and later these two display functions would be called, which would display the date and time in the specified format. So this is my main. Please make a note of this. This completes my single inheritance program. Hope you have understood this. Now let me start with multi-level inheritance. So what do you mean by multi-level? As the name suggests, the classes can be derived from the classes that is already derived, which means that a derived class can be a base class of another. That is, I can derive a class derive a class B from A and then a C from B. So, wherein a derived class can also be a base class of another class. That is, derivation of a class from another derived class. That is called multi-level inheritance. There, single inheritance, I had only one base, one derived. So, again from that derived class, if I derive a class, that becomes multi-level inheritance. That is, there are multiple levels of it, wherein a derived class can also be a base class to another class. Please have a look at the statement. Then we will write a program using this concept. So, base derived class 1, wherein derived class 2 is derived from derived class 1. So, this is the base class for this. Like that, you can derive n classes. So, these are the different levels of inheritance. Then, we will write down one program for it. Write a program to display your family tree. So, let me start with that with the following specifications. Base class is grandfather. You should have a base class grandfather with the data members and member functions to take in the name and the date of birth. So, you need to take in the date of birth as well as the name of the grandfather. Then you need to print the same. Later, I should have derived class 1, that is from grandfather. I am going to derive a class father, which will again have the details of the father's name and the date of birth, and you need to print it. Later, I will have one more class which I am going to derive from father, name as myself, and I will print my name along with my date of birth. So, there are 3 levels: grandfather, then I have father, and here I have myself. So, grandfather is the base class, derived class 1 is the father. After that, I need to derive a class myself from here. But then in each of this, I would be taking in the name and the date of birth of each person, and I am going to print it in an appropriate format. Please make a note of the program statement. So, let me start my program with hash include statement. Hash include iostream.h, hash include conio.h. What was the base class? Grandfather. So, it is class is the keyword. Grandfather. In the private section, I have float. I need to take in the date of birth, right? Not the age. So, let me say I will have int dd YY, and then let me have name char name of 30 characters length. Maximum of 30 characters length. That is, in the private I have int ddYY because I need to print the date of birth, and then char name I need to print. Since name is a character array, it's a string, I have to declare as character array. How do I declare it? Return type name of the array with the size. Size is maximum 30 characters length. So, let me say functions. Now, I need to take in this data. I need to have appropriate member functions. So, how do I do that? in the public section, I have void input G, let me say for grandfather. Now void display G, and then let me close it. So this is the base class, which is private int ddmmyy and char name of 30. Void input G is wherein I would be taking the details of the grandfather, and void display G I would be displaying it. So this is the end of my grandfather class. I need to write it, I'll define it outside, but this is my grandfather class. Please make a note. Now let me write it. Return type void name of the class to which it belongs to, scope resolution operator. So cout enter grandfather's name. Cin name. Cout enter the DOB, nothing but the date of birth in DDMMYY format. Cin DDMMYY. Okay. So I have taken in DDMMYY, that is day, month and year. Enter the date of birth. DOB is nothing but the date of birth in DDMMYY format. Enter grandfather's name. I have taken in the name. I have taken in the date of birth of the grandfather in input G, which is the function to take in the data. Fine. Now let me print the details. So it is display G. Let me write for that. Void grandfather scope resolution operator display G cout endl grandfather's details. Okay. Cout name, let me say name, name is a variable, cout DOB DD hyphen mm hyphen yy. So it will print me grandfather's details, then name, name of the grandfather, date of birth of the grandfather, and my display function is done. So this is my, then I have completed with my grandfather base class, wherein I have declared the data members and I have taken in the values of it. After that, what do? I need to derive a class father from grandfather. So how do I do that? Class, derived class name, colon, visibility mode. Let me keep it as public only, and then the base class name. Grandfather. So class is a keyword, derived class name is father, colon, visibility mode is public, and then the name of the base class, which is grandfather. After that, private, and again char name, let me say 30, then int dd mm yy, because I need to take in the date of birth. Okay, public void input f, that is the father's data, void display f, that is to display data, then I will close it and semicolon. This is my first derived class, that is father is derived from grandfather. In that I have two data members, that is name, and then I need to print the date of birth. So I have ddmmyy. In public, I have two member functions which do not return any value, and I am not passing any arguments to it, that is input f and display f, and I am closing my class over here. This is my father class, which is derived from grandfather. Please make a note of it. Now I need to write the definition of the two member functions of the father class. So what was the return type of the function? It is void, name of the class father, scope resolution operator, and the name of the function cout, enter father's name. Cin name, cout, enter father's DOB, that is date of birth, in DD, MM and YY format. Cin DD MM YY. So this is my input function, wherein I am asking the user to enter the father's name, and then I am taking in the name. So then enter father's date of birth, Cin I am taking in, and I am also specifying what is the format. The first should be the day, then the month, and then the year. So the same way I am taking it in the appropriate variables. So now tell me, how many functions would father class have? Father class will have two functions of its own, that is input f and display f, and two functions inherited from grandfather, that is input g and display g. So with the father's object I can access all the four, right? You please make a note of it. Now I need to write the display f function. So return type void, name of the class father, scope resolution operator, the name of the function cout, endl, father's details, Cout, name, name, Endel, Cout, date of birth, that is DD, MM, YY. So it will print me father's details and then name of your father as well as the date of birth. There also it printed grandfather's details and then it printed the data. Similar way here I will say father's details and the data is printed one below the other. That is how the output would look. So this completes my father class. So I finished my grandfather, then I derived a class father from grandfather wherein father had two member functions, that is input f and display f, and it has two functions inherited from the grandfather class, that is the input g and the display g. So please make a note of that. Now I need to derive a class myself from the father. How do I do that? Class, derived class name, colon, visibility mode and the base class name. So here you can see father was derived from grandfather. So that was the derived class, but then now I am deriving a class myself from father. So for myself, father is the base class. This is derived class 1 and this is derived class 2. So private class myself colon visibility mode and the base class. Private int dd mm yy char name of 30, then public, let me say void input m and void display m, that is for myself. I am closing my class. Here in the private I have dd mm yy which are integer data types, and then I have char name of 30 which is a character array and it is going to store my name in it. After that I have in the public section void input m, that is it is going to take in my data, and then I have void display m which is going to display the data. So it is two member functions and three data. How many data variable data members are there? 1, 2, 3, 4 data members. 1, 2. See, this is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Please make a note here. Now let me write the definitions of the classes. The functions. First, let me say void myself scope resolution operator input m. So enter your name and enter your name, cout, enter your name, correct? Endel, scene name, cout, enter your DOB, that is date of birth, in DD, MM and YY format. Endel, Seen, DD, MM, YY. So, in the input function, what am I doing here? Void myself, scope resolution operator, input M. Enter your name. I'm taking in my name. Enter your DOB, that is date of birth, in DDMMYY format. So, I have taken in C in DD, MM and YY. This is the definition of my input M function, which was declared in the myself class. Please make a note of this. After this, I need to write the definition of my display function, right? So, how do I do that? Void, then name of the class is myself, scope resolution operator, name of the function. So, I will say cout my details, Endel, cout name, Endel, then cout date of birth, I will say DD, MM, YY. So, I wrote my display function of myself class. Yes. So, cout my details would be printed. Wherever Endel is there, a new line is inserted. So, it will be one below the other instead of the continuous text. Then I have cout name would be printed as it is. Then the name Endel, so new line. After that DOB would be printed. Then it will be DD, then hyphen MM hyphen YY. This will be my display function of myself class. After that, what do I have to write? I need to write my main function. So, when I write my main, how do I start it? Void main. So, clear screen. Now tell me which object should I create. I had the grandfather class. In that I had private data is not accessible, so we can leave that, it never gets inherited. But then I had two public member functions. What are those? Input G and display G. Fine. And then I derived a class father from grandfather. So, father inherited the functions display G and input G. And father also had its own member functions input F and display F. So, totally father had 4, 2 inherited from grandfather and 2 of its own. Then I created one more derived class, that is myself from father. So, myself, I have 2 member functions, that is input M and display M, and 4 member functions which is inherited from father, that is input G, display G, input F and display F were inherited from father. Along with that I have my own. So, only using the last derived class object I should be able to access the other member functions. So, I need to create only for the last derived class, that is myself. Myself MOBJ. fine. Now let me call mobj dot input g. mobj dot input f. mobj dot input m. After that, cout endl family tree endl. After that, mobj dot display g. mobj dot display f. Then mobj dot display m. Then get ch end of main. So this is how I will write my program. That is, myself, I am creating an object only for the last, because other two I get in the other two are automatically inherited in myself. So myself will have 2 of its own, 2 it inherits, totally 4 it inherits from the father, wherein in turn the father inherits 2 from grandfather, 2 of his own. So totally 6 member functions are there in myself. So I am calling the 3 input functions, first creating an object, then I will print family tree, and in the new line I will call the grandfather, father and myself in proper order display function. So it will print one below the other. This ends my main and my program. We'll discuss the output also. So please make a note of this. Hopefully you have understood it. It's not very difficult. It's very easy only. Now, how would my output look? So my output would look something like that, wherein the first statement is the cout statement, which will say family tree. After that I had an endl, then I called the grandfathers. Before that I had called the input functions. In input function there was like display statements only for what? Enter the what the user has to enter, then taking it. Now I called a display function of the grandfather. So what was the first line there? His grandfather's details. Again I have name and DOB, correct? Then I call the father's this thing, display function. Father's details, name and DOB was there. Then my details, the last one was name and DOB. So these were the things which was there. The output would be printed in something similar format. Like this it would be printed. Hope you have understood this multi-level inheritance. Please go through the output also. Now we'll do multiple inheritance. There's a difference between multiple and multi-level. In multiple, you have multiple base classes from which you can derive one class. So a derived class can have more than one base class. That is, you can derive a class from more than one base class is called a derived class. Please note here there are no multiple derived classes. There is only one derived class derived from multiple base classes. In multi-level, derived class can be a base class of something. But here it is multiple base classes and you have one derived class, that is multiple inheritance. We'll write one program. For that, please make a note of the program statement here. Write a program to read the following information from the keyboard. That is, these are the input. First one is S details, that is nothing but student details is the first base class, and in that I should have registration number and name of the student should be taken. So you need to declare the appropriate data members and member functions for that. So S details is one base class. In that you will have registration number and name of the student. You need to have appropriate data members to store this data, and you need to have appropriate member functions to take it and display it. Fine. The second base class should be S result. So student result is the second base class in which you will have data members, 6 data members, that is 2 languages and 4 core subjects, which is PCM and CS. So you will have to take in the marks scored by the student in those 6 subjects. Getting it? That is the S result. Then from these two you need to derive one more class called the exam result. So exam result is derived from 2 base classes, yes, details and student details, student result. So this will print only, what does it do? It will print the details in a proper format. How do I do that? So what is the proper format? It should print me student details, and then you need to print the name as per your mark sheet how it looks. So it should print me the name of the student as well as the registration number of the student, and after that what will I do? I need to print the student result. Fine. So think how we can do this. You can write down the statement. In tomorrow's class we will do that. I want you to think how we can do that. So what will the exam result class have? What details will this have? Anyway, you know what details these should have. It's already written. So think, what will this have? Please make a note of this. Now, please make a note of today's homework questions. The first one, what is the difference between protected and private specifier? The second one is, what is single inheritance? Give an example. Third one is, what is multi-level give an example. So please make a note of these questions. So today's class we did single inheritance and we wrote program. We did multi-level inheritance. We wrote a program on that and we started with multiple inheritance. In tomorrow's class we'll be writing the code for that and we'll also do hierarchical and hybrid inheritance. Hope you have understood this. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.